Hey there, yogi. My name is Crystal Gray, and today I'll be guiding you through a headstand flow. In this flow, we'll be working on some of my favorite poses to help you get into headstand more safely, more efficiently, and more quickly. Some of the poses I'll be incorporating are half boat, dolphin, headstand prep, and modified plank. By the end of this flow, you'll be so much more confident in getting into your headstand. Make sure that you subscribe and you push the little bell so that every time I post a new video, you'll be notified. And if you want 30 days of yoga, make sure that you check out the description. I've got a whole series of 30 days of yoga to help you start to really ignite your yoga practice. And I also have an online yoga membership to support you in your yoga journey. The details are also in the description. All right, yogi, have a great day and enjoy this practice. Namaste. For today's practice, start up at the front of your mat in Tadasana or standing mountain pose. Bring your big toes together to touch if possible, and your heels can either be together or about an inch or two apart. If you feel really wobbly here, go ahead and separate the feet about fist width apart. Ground down into all four corners of the feet. Have a slight squeeze in your quads so you're not locking the knees or hyperextending. Bring the pelvis into neutral, meaning the front hip bones are level to the back hip bones. Lift the entire rib cage up away from the pelvis to lengthen the spine. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears, arms by the sides, and reach through the back of the crown of the head. Find a gazing point or drishti and breathe here. So the shape that we're making now is a lot like headstand, minus the arms of course, but this is what the upper body will be doing in headstand. So it's really important to focus here, to feel strong in this pose, and to keep the body really active and engaged. Draw the lower belly very gently in and up, and as you inhale, let the low ribs expand, mid ribs and upper ribs. And as you exhale, let the outer body soften to keep the inner body bright. On your inhale, really expand. And on your exhale, just let go of tension in the face, the forehead, the jaw. And let's choose an affirmation today that goes with the crown chakra. Since we're working on headstand, we'll be bringing a lot of the energy towards the crown. So you could choose something like, I listen to divine guidance. The crown chakra is all about your connection to source, to that energy greater than you. I listen to divine guidance. One more time, inhale, I listen. Exhale to divine guidance. Ground down into all four corners of the feet. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, fold, tipping the pelvis. Bend the knees as needed to tilt. Let the head hang. Inhale, come halfway up to your monkey pose, flat back. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Exhale, step back to plank. Now let's hold the pose here, but make sure you're breathing. Okay, now I want you to focus on lengthening the tailbone. So tuck the tailbone slightly so it's pointing towards the heels. Draw the chest forward and the shoulders back. Make sure you're not dumping the belly down and your booty's not lifted. You should pretty much be in a straight line from the heels to the crown of the head. Now inhale, push forward so the shoulders come past the wrists, knees down. Exhale, lower down, squeeze the elbows in. Uncurl the toes. Now your hands should be directly on either side of your chest. Inhale, chest forward and up for cobra, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, lower down. Now from here, come on to the forearms. Have the elbows directly under the shoulders. You can measure that by crossing the arms and just grabbing onto the elbows and interlace the hands. Curl the toes under. Now inhale and exhale. Lift. So you're here again, you're in a straight line towards the heel, from the heels to the crown of the head. Lengthen the tailbone, chest forward, shoulders back, modified plank. Make sure you're breathing and smiling for some brownie points. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees down, lower down. Let's do another cobra. So stretch out the abs a little bit, chest forward, shoulders back. And lower down, curl the toes under. Now push up in a straight line, whether it's to the knees or all the way up to plank, but in a straight line. So see if you can lift the belly first, push up, and then hips up and back, downward facing dog. Here, roll the shoulders away from each other, so outward. Roll the forearms in and keep the knuckles heavy. Breathe deep yogic breaths. Anytime you feel like you need to release, just exhale through the mouth. And walk or hop your feet towards the hands. Coming back to your mountain pose feet, so big toes touching if possible. Inhale, come up to where you need to go to get a flat back. Exhale, fold over the legs. Make sure you're not feeling any pulling too much in the knees here. Look out in front of you. Inhale, rise all the way up. Circle the arms out to the sides. Palms touch overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Breathe here. Let's do one more like that. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, fold. You don't need to touch the ground. Inhale, come up to where you need to go to get a flat back. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Exhale, step back to plank, top of a push-up. Hold here and breathe. On your inhale, push forward, knees down. Exhale, lower down, squeeze the elbows in. Uncurl the toes, push the toenails into the mat. Inhale, chest forward and up, cobra, push into the knuckles. Exhale, come down. Now, back onto the elbows. Interlace your fingers in your non-dominant way, curl the toes under, inhale. And exhale, lift. Again, navel to spine, so lengthen the tailbone towards the heels. Reach through the crown of the head and breathe. If you feel good there, knees up. So with the knees down, that's what I call modified plank or knees lifted. Smile, breathe, and lower back down. Hands beside the chest. Cobra pose, push into the knuckles, inhale. Exhale, come down, curl the toes under. Inhale, push up in a straight line. Plank or modified plank. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Roll the shoulders away from each other, roll the forearms in. Breathe here. Sending the hips up and back. Draw the low ribs in, really stabilizing the core. Now you can either hop to a little squat or come down to the hands and knees. Swing the feet around and come to seated. Now let's move into modified or half boat. Ardha Navasana, half boat. So regular boat is here. Okay, so let's all come here first. Draw the shoulders back, knees squeeze towards each other. Lift the chest. Feet are active, pushing through the heels and the balls of the feet. Smile. All right, now half boat. This is the fun one. Navel to spine. Keep your shoulders lifted and up. 5, 4, keep going. 3, 2, 1, and just lay down on the ground. Whew. All right. So just while you're kind of chilling out here, whenever you're in that half boat or Ardha Navasana, I want you to think about bringing the low ribs and the hips together right here. Because whenever we're doing any sort of inversion, such as headstand or handstand, it's really easy to get banana back to find that balance, and we kind of arch the back. So instead, I want you to think about drawing the ribs and hips together. So let's just do half boat now. Now let's not worry about going into full boat. So just reach towards your feet, inhale. Exhale, low ribs and hips together, towards each other, lift the legs. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Collapse and breathe. Whew. All right, bring your knees in towards your chest. Rock and roll 3 times. If this doesn't feel good on the spine, just skip it. See if you can come all the way to the feet. If not, no biggie. And walk yourself back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees, inhale, look forward. Exhale, right foot through, flatten your back foot, and rise up for Virabhadrasana 2. Right heel in line with the arch of the back foot, gazing out through the right middle finger. Inhale, straighten the leg, but don't lock it. Exhale, reach towards the front of the room, right hand to the right shin, left arm straight up. Breathe here. Low ribs and hips towards each other. Triangle, Trikonasana. Ground down into the base of the front big toe. Inhale, rise up. Bend the right knee. Exhale, windmill the hands down on either side of the right foot. Downward facing dog. Full stretch. Bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, left foot through, low lunge. Flatten the back foot. Windmill the arms up. And bend into the left knee so that the left knee is right on top of the ankle. Turn the back toes in slightly. Low ribs and hips towards each other, but still lengthening the spine. So we're not rounding, okay? So you're keeping the spine long as you draw the low ribs and hips towards each other. Inhale, straighten the left leg, but don't lock it. Squeeze the quad. Exhale, reach out. Left hand to the left shin, right arm up and overhead. You can look down or sideways or up. Breathe here. Ground down into the base of the front big toe. Inhale, rise up. Bend the knee. Exhale, windmill the hands down on either side of the left foot. Downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. Shoulders past the wrists. Knees can come down. Exhale, lower. Uncurl the toes. Inhale, little cobra. Exhale, come back down. All right, so now come onto the forearms and we'll move into a pose called dolphin. So here the elbows are in the same spot that they were for our modified plank. So again, you can measure them by bringing your hands to your elbows. Okay, make sure that they stay there. Now for this one, your hands stay on the ground, fingers stay spread apart. What tends to happen if people's shoulders are tight is the hands come in and the shoulders come out. Okay, so if that's the case, you'll want to do some shoulder openers. I chose not to do shoulder openers in this flow today because I want you to focus on strength, and I don't want to get the shoulders all kind of loosey-goosey before we go into this kind of advanced pose. So instead, what I'd love you to do is try it today. See if your elbows go out and your hands come in. If so, then I want you to work on some shoulder stretches, okay? Otherwise, for now, let's hold here. Keep the fingers spread apart. Make sure the hands don't come in. Curl the toes under and then start to lift the hips up towards the sky so the knees come off the mat. Now here we're kind of like in down dog, but we're on the forearms. Okay, make sure that the forearms are staying parallel to the long edges of the mat. Bend the knees and push into the elbows. So now you're in a straight line from the elbows up to the hips. Try not to let the booty pop out. Draw the low ribs and the hips towards each other without rounding the back. Breathe here, let the head hang. If the head's touching the ground, then that means you're not pushing into the elbows enough and you're not wrapping the shoulders. Okay, so you can bring the knees down, practice dropping the chest down, and then pushing and wrapping. So why don't you try that a couple times? Come down to the knees, let the chest drop down carefully, and then push the ground away. Okay, then from that stable place, you can go up into your dolphin pose. I listen to divine guidance. I'm just letting the energy come down towards the crown of the head. And that's a lot on the shoulders. Bring the knees down as wide as the mat and come down into a modified child's pose. Whew. If you'd like to rest the arms a little bit more, bring them down by the sides of the body. All right, now you can come on up slowly and just hold here. This pose is called Vajrasana. It's a nice resting pose as long as your knees are okay with it. Breathe here. You might be able to hear my kitty breathing as well. He's a loud breather. All right, so now getting into our pinnacle pose of the day, headstand. So what I'd really like you to do and focus on in headstand, and the way I like to do headstand actually still, is by doing a forearm headstand. And the reason why I really love this pose is because it keeps most of the weight in the arms and the rest of the body rather than in the head, which could compress the neck and the rest of the spine. Okay, so what we'll do is headstand prep. So before we even lift the feet, we'll just come down, measure the elbows again. Interlace the fingers. Now, instead of having the palms together, you'll separate the palms, but keep the fingers interlaced. Now, you want the crown of the head to come down to the top of the mat. Now, what would be good is to take a picture of yourself or a video of yourself in this pose and make sure that you just have a natural curve in the neck. So your upper body should look just like your mountain pose. So your neck is not like this and it's not rounded. So you want to make sure you just have that nice curve in the neck. Okay, so you're pushing into the elbows. You want to make sure, again, that you're not dropping the shoulders down. Push into the elbows and wrap the shoulders, just like we did for dolphin. Then you can start to lift the knees up. Make sure that the elbows are not going out. If the elbows are going out, then way more weight is going to be on the head. Okay, so this is a great, great, great place to stay. Now, you could stay here or lift one foot, lean back, and then the other foot might come up. Okay, but otherwise just stay here for a couple breaths. Maybe just one foot's lifted. And come down. Bring the knees as wide as the mat. Now, instead of going into child's pose, just sink the hips back and let the head hang. Notice how your neck is feeling. If it's hurting, I probably wouldn't do it again, okay? Now, poses like this, you could really consider going to a class or getting, a private one-to-one online, sending pictures to a teacher online, something like that, just so that you can make sure that you're doing it safely. That's something that I do in my online membership, if you're interested in things like that and getting more support. All right, so now we're going to do it again. If you don't feel like you're quite ready to lift both feet off the wall, please feel free to move to, or off the ground, please feel free to move to a wall. In this case, I'm going to use my couch. So I'm just going to turn my mat a little bit. Hopefully I don't kick my kitty. You'll come down and you'll be about a few feet away from the wall. Okay, so I want to have the heels on the wall, and here you're getting ready to go up into headstand. So the heels are on the wall. So prep yourself, push away from the ground, and lift the knees. Again, making sure your head's in the right spot. Then you can lift one foot up to the wall and then bring the other one in a tuck. Push into the elbows. Make sure you're wrapping your shoulders. So just feel free to stay here. Eventually, and you don't have to push off the wall. If you do, you'll flip over. But eventually, maybe this foot will just start to come off of the wall on its own. Then you could go into a tuck, wrap the shoulders. Only when you feel super secure will the legs start to go up. And this is like Tadasana. So you're squeezing the legs towards each other, pushing into the heels and the balls of the feet. Keep pushing into the elbows. Low ribs and hips towards each other. Breathe. To come out of it, bring one foot to the wall, or you could split. Bring both feet to the wall or back to a tuck. And slowly come down. Now let's come into that modified child's pose and just let the head hang. I don't like to sit right up after this pose. Chill out, come back to your breath, notice how you're feeling. Stay there or come up into Vajrasana, just sitting back onto the heels, lifting the torso. And do some gentle head rolls. Just going side to side in the front. Now, if you want a little bit more work on this headstand, you can pause it and keep going. Otherwise, we're going to start to chill it out a little bit. So circle your feet around and come to seated. Extend your legs out in front of you. Pull the flesh away from the sitting bones. Feel free to have a bend in the knees so that we can tilt the pelvis forward a little bit more so that we don't have to round the back. Inhale, lengthen the spine, big shoulder roll. Exhale, tilt the pelvis forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tilt. Notice how I'm not reaching for the feet. That's not the goal. The goal is to feel sensation. With the knees bent, it helps to protect the hamstrings, helps you to tilt the pelvis forward because we don't want to round the back in this pose. Not for now anyway. Sometimes I let you. All right, so now I know it feels good, so I'll just let you soften into the pose, round the back for a breath. And then roll it up. And And bring the soles of the feet together for bound angle or Baddha Konasana. Pull the flesh away from the sitting bones. Hold on to the ankles. Big shoulder roll, lengthen the spine. Inhale. And exhale, tilt the pelvis forward. Again, I'm not rounding. Okay, draw the chest forward. You might even just want the hands behind and push the chest forward. Tuck the chin slightly to lengthen the neck. Just breathe here. You can close the eyes. Start to let the exhales get longer and longer. So see how many counts your inhale takes and let your exhale be 1, 2, or 3 counts longer than the inhale. This is called Visamavritti, and it's just a great way to really start calming the mind and the body. And then slowly come up. Cross the legs, coming into Sukhasana, easy seated pose. Pull the flesh away from the sitting bones. Let your palms be open and reach the crown of the head up towards the sky. Close the eyes. I listen to divine guidance. Say that affirmation in your mind a few rounds with your breath. And then slowly lay all the way down onto your back. For our final pose, Shavasana, let the feet be about as wide as the mat. Bring the hands a little bit wider than the mat. Close the eyes and breathe here. Letting the outer body soften more and more. And letting yourself drift off to that place right before you fall asleep. And start deepening your breath. And bring some movement back to the fingers and toes. And reach Reach the arms overhead and your feet in the opposite direction for a full body stretch. Roll onto your right hand side, using your right arm for a pillow. Just stay here for a couple breaths. And with the strength of your arms, slowly push yourself up to an easy seated pose, Sukhasana. Put your non-dominant leg in front. Pull the flesh away from the sitting bones, eyes closed. And breathe here again, palms open on the knees. Notice how you're feeling now at the end of your practice. And circle your hands together in front of your heart into prayer, and just take this time to thank yourself for taking this time out of your day to do something so good for your body, your mind, and your spirit, and for bringing all of those together in union. And the energy within me acknowledges that space within you. Let's do one Om to close the practice. Take a deep breath in. And bow your head. Bring your thumbs up to your third eye, acknowledging the energy that's within you, around you, connects us all together and never goes away. That energy within me acknowledges that energy within you, and I thank you so much for letting me guide you through your practice today. Namaste.